Good day, my dear friends. First and foremost, lest you think I don't know this, I never checked, or Candace didn't check with me because she's starting a little late tonight. So I already had this planned, and I'm sorry to do that. But I watched a good half hour of hers, and we'll talk about that. God, she's great, and I would obviously appreciate you staying with us. But if you don't, listen. I understand this. I understand. I have a different take tonight that I think might make you feel a little bit better. We're going to have some good times. I got to tell you something. A couple of things which is so great. And so I am so happy to say on a personal level, my beloved was gone for a couple of days for business, for some very, very important organizational, charitable moves. And I have been nothing but miserable. I have been living in misery. But she is back. And I'm so happy. I don't want to announce these things, but we were there this morning. Oh, my God. JFK, 5 o'clock in the morning. It was raining. It was just a madhouse. TSA is nuts. So I've got my bearings back. And I'm glad. And by the way, if you hear, you ready for this? If you hear like ruffling in the background, she's putting together gift baskets for a charity event we're doing. I'm telling you, the woman's Joan of Arc. It's called the Wonder Girls. It is an incredible organization. And there is a wonderful, they have their yearly gala, which we will be a part of. And she's putting together, I mean, our living room looks like, I don't know what would you say? It looks like a gift shop. A gift shop. But you know what? For a great cause. It's an organization that empowers young women and puts them with other powerful women. And it's just a great organization because we have to think more about kids. We have to think about young people. And dare I say, we need to be fellas out there. We need to be, I hate to say it, we need to be mentors. And we need to maybe teach perhaps a little bit of this. I'm just saying. So anyway, let me just start with this. First and foremost, Glovis, is it Jovis? These names. Could you please put like Dave? But that's okay. For your information, Super Chat can't type Jesus. Well, he is king. Well, you type whatever you want. That's ridiculous. How about Jesus? Mr. Lionel, watch you for weeks now. I too take your words as if from my World War II hero grandpa who raised me. I'm struggling with war. Please, a word of hope for a comforting voice. I still seek daily. Jesus is king. Thank you so much. I will do that. Excellent. And of course, Janet Kaufman is here. Thank you. She's a new member. Let's talk about this, shall we? Because first and foremost, what we are seeing right now in the world is absolute and total insanity. It is insanity. It defies any kind of rational thought, any kind of rational thinking regarding anything. War is death. Death is destruction. It's horrible. It doesn't make any sense. It goes against everything. And I could sit here and try to join the throngs and try to explain what's going on with you, but I think you know what's going on. And I felt like this since Vietnam. That was my world. That's where I'm from. And I saw this years ago during that horrible time, when I saw the best and brightest of my generation thrown away like nothing. It had a big problem. And about merch, by the way, had a big effect on me. Now, I want to say a couple of things here before we go into this. Tonight's subject is Erika Kirk is devolving into a total caricature. It's getting worse by the day. Do you know who is the picture? Do you know who is the parody, if you will? Do you know this cultural reference? Did you notice this? It's very interesting. This is Norma Desmond from Sunset Boulevard. And it is so perfect. And a lot of these thumbnail, what am I trying to say? These thumbnail, these, advisors or reviewers will say, hey, this kids may not know that or whatever. It's like, well, learn who it is. It's the classic. This is the chanteuse, the one who's coming back. She wants to rekindle. Who is it? Billy Wilder, I think, with she's coming back. I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille. And it's always been symbolic of somebody who was seeking the limelight and seeking really what's going on here. And it goes to show you one of the most important things, one of the things which I rail against, and that is absolutely, positively, and this is what I think Candace and others are talking about, it's the phony. And the phony is something so antithetical to human life right now. That's the worst part of this. And I want to talk a little bit about that. First, I'm going to go on the record by saying this. Ben Shapiro means nothing to me. I don't know what Ben Shapiro is saying. I don't know what Ben Shapiro thinks. I don't know what he stands for. I don't care. I can give you a list. Let's think of 1,000 people that we don't know about. And we can just say, we don't know. I don't know. He's never been of any. I can go down, give you a list of people. And it's not even, I'm not even saying because he's a bad person or whatever. He's irrelevant to me. Why am I going to talk about Ben Shapiro? What am I going to talk about? Well, he misspoke about Charlie. Okay, everybody's misspeaking, and that's the theme of this. Go down the list. I have been since 1988 when I first started kind of professional, so to speak. I have been in the process or in the company of people who have been so profoundly, pardon my French, full of shit forever. It's when I meet somebody is how much are they? I cannot tell you, people I know, people I've dealt with, people that I remember, people who are, it's part of an act. They're a part of an act. They're assuming something. They're, they kind of go with the wind. And there's this thing which I am not a part of. I've never been a part of, and maybe I'm making a mistake, but I don't think so. Commentators, I don't care what they say. If Ben Shapiro says this and Glenn Beck says this and Bill Maher says this and Alex Jones says this, who cares? No, they don't run anything. They're not politicians. They're not making any decisions. Who cares about that? I don't know. We have got to learn from me. Listen to your grandpa. They're not important. This is the Piers Morgan school. They wanted me to be on recently, and I just ignored them. I'm not going to talk to them. It's stupid. I'm not even going to waste my time with this stuff. My beef is not with Dave Smith or anybody in particular. They're commentators. The New York Times doesn't argue with the New York Post. Usually, they could, but we don't do that. So the first rule is, I don't care what they say. It doesn't matter. There are people that I listen to, and I get a little bit about, how do I say this? I kind of learn a little bit from them. And I learn a little bit about what they're saying and where they're kind of sort of going from this. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. And then I realized, okay, I get saturated really quickly. There has been, I'm not going to go through the list, a group of people who have said basically the same thing forever. And I like them, and they're commentators, and it's great, but I don't listen to what they're saying. They don't do anything for me. There's just their opinion. They're not running, Now, if somebody can show me some type of a maybe some kind of an explanation, give you an example. One thing I can maybe help a little bit with is to go back and explain a few things. And every now and then, people will use the term, I think incorrectly. Psychopath, as you know, is a favorite of mine. Is used always incorrectly. Number two, conspiracy theorist, used incorrectly all the time. They don't know what they mean. Conspiracy theorists mean something else. They mean crazy. A conspiracy, as I told you, is an agreement between two or more people to bring something about. That's all it means. Conspiracy doesn't mean crazy. It's the wrong term. And I guess I've pretty much wasted my time trying to explain to people why that's a problem or why that's, I don't think anybody really cares. But to me it does, because words are very, very precise. And I really believe in using words exactly for what they mean, not for what, how do I say this? Not for what other people kind of sort of, well, how do I say this? Not the way it's done on a regular basis. That makes any sense to you? Okay, that's critical. Now, the other one is a word neocon. Neocon is used as somebody who likes war. It's always used in terms of war. They're not necessarily neocons. Now, remember, I don't want to bore you with this. A neocon is not necessarily the same as someone who is a war profiteer. There are people who are into war and military because that's their money base. When they get out of office, that's where they're on boards of defense. Money, death, the two are connected. That's not a neocon necessarily. There are other people too, it has been suggested, who want there to be war for reasons of other countries, for other bases, problems. And it's not necessarily Israel, could be for Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the Gulf states. There are other people as well. That's not a neocon, though all of them might be in support of war. Neoconservatism is a special term of art, and I would venture to say most people are not neocons. Neocon was a term that was used, pretty much coined by University of Chicago professor Leo Strauss. He is the granddaddy of them all. And a lot of the neocons were lapsed Trotskyites. Most of them were ex-commies. John Podhoretz, Irving Kristol, Podhoretz, Scoop Jackson. Remember him, Scoop Jackson, Democrats? This was a Democrat. He was a rather bellicose. PNAC, Project for a New American Century. These are people who believe that the United States, or any power, that we should use our power, our might, our glory, our greatness, not to necessarily be kind and peaceful and loving, but to go on and spread the good word and to tell people what needs to be done, especially regarding goodness and power and democracy. They mean go out and do this. Don't wait to be attacked. War has nothing to do with being attacked. War has nothing to do with anybody who hurts us. America first. None of that stuff. It means here's the world, and we're going to go in, and we're going to make it a better place. And we're going to go here. And PNAC, Project for a New American Century. Read this. They said what we need is a new Pearl Harbor. And what happened? 9/11. They're still here. They're still here. But John McCain and these people, Lindsey Graham, those aren't neoconservatives at all. Neoconservatives, remember, whenever you see the word neo, like neo, it's the opposite. Neoconservative is almost like a liberal, because they want to go on and spread this through war. I know it seems oxymoronic. It seems very strange. It seems very, very strange indeed. So what's happening right now is they believe in this. And they believe that the worst thing that we could ever do is to sit back and allow bad people to do bad things. Okay. So that's what neoconservatives are. This is a different story. This is a completely different story. All right. Now, if you want to argue that point, it's fine. I know most people go right to sleep if I talk about this. Ronald Reagan was a paleo-conservative. William F. Buckley was a paleo, like a classic. Pat Buchanan. They would never go to war. Ronald Reagan would say, go to war? Hell no. For anybody? No. No. He was not Remember the Beirut bombing in 80, whatever it was? Remember when the terrorists went? He didn't go into level Beirut. He goes, let's get the hell out of here. It's ridiculous. They were a different story. So that's where we are right now. But here's what's interesting. We're not going to get anywhere asking whether Meghan McCain is full of shit, because she is, and whether Ben Shapiro is full of shit, which he is, and to put these people on that they put these people to argue, and when all they want is just people to watch. They serve absolutely no benefit whatsoever. None. Piers Morgan, he puts people on hoping to God they'll scream. They used to do that with Geraldo years ago. They take junk yogurt and Anna emphysema, whatever they put them on, they scream and yell about this. The same thing with, it's just, this is professional wrestling. It's a, pardon my French, it's a shit show. It has nothing to do with anything. It's not legitimate. So what I want you to do is I want you to understand first that if we, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to get involved in this. Let's talk about Ben Shapiro. If I have to tell you about Ben Shapiro, seriously, if you don't know the story behind Ben Shapiro, if you can't look at him like you do Erika and realize what is going on here, this guy is fighting for absolute relevance. He has got to earn his keep. And the more he's in the offing, the more he's out there, the better he does. I'm not going to help him. I don't care what he says. He's irrelevant. Who cares what he says? Okay, which leads us to this. Last night, I couldn't get to sleep at all. Last night it was on WABC. Or this morning. Is it morning? Is it night? I'm so damn confused. All I know is my missus is back. It's all I know. Anyway. So this woman called up and she had a Spanish accent and she says, "Can you tell me why you're trying to make everything so bad about Erika Kirk?" I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." "Erika Kirk, what about her?" "Why can't you let her alone? She's a widow." I said, "Oh, no. I said, "Madam, you don't know what you're talking about. And I don't have time to bring you up to speed on it. I don't have time to bring you up to speed. I wish I could, but I can't. It's too, I don't know where to go. This is over. If you hear anybody say to you that isn't it terrible that what you're doing is you're saying terrible things about Erika Kirk, if this is honest to God, the best that they can do, run as fast as you can. They don't know what they're talking about. And I'm not going to explain this. How do I go through all of the labyrinthine stories that we have been able to discuss? How? How do I do this? I don't even bother with it. I don't even bother with it. Listen, madam, I don't have time to explain this to you. Erika Kirk is a fraud, and she is one of the most interesting things I think I've ever seen in my life. I love it. Don't you, be honest with me, don't you love when somebody comes forward and says, "That's it, that's perfect"? It's a guilty pleasure. There's no heavy lifting. You don't have to know anything to know that this person is full of shit. Pardon my French. Pardon my French. I've told you this before, and I bring this to your attention. There is this, her name is Christine Fekete, Fekete. Now, I don't know anything about her. She could be a raving commie for all I know. I have no idea. But her depictions of and breakdowns of Erika, phenomenal. I love the story of human behavior, and I love to find out why. During Bill Clinton's time, we said, why does he have such a hard time with women? He wants to be loved. He doesn't know how to be loved by women because of his mother. He wants to be loved and cherished. His sexual escapades are not what you think. John Kennedy Jr. merely was for they say that his swordsmanship, dare I say, was so terrible that some women would say, "What?" It would be like, boop. One time I saw my friend raised rabbits. He says, "You know that expression, they do it like rabbits?" I said, "Yeah." He says, "Have you ever seen it?" I said, "Can't say I have." He says, "Okay, now watch this." He says, don't blink." So he took the hair, or the, what's he called? The jack from the bunny. I don't know what the hell it is. The male. He says, "Now watch this." So he has the pens, and there's one sitting there, with the nose like this. She's just sitting there eating whatever it is. They take this one, the male, puts him in there, and that was it. Done. I think he rolled over. I said, that's it. I said, did you catch it? I said, what was that? He goes, that's it. I said, got tremendous aim. That was John Kennedy. I like that. John Kennedy, his focus was, it was just like, I conquered your territory. I had you just to have you. And you got to ask this. Other men, other women sometimes want the seduction. They want the prey. They want the chase. That's what they want. So you have to ask yourself, why do people want certain things? That's what I love. That's the psychological profile. What I also like is, in this particular Erika is an endless. If Erika Kirk were, and I'm not suggesting she is, but if she were a serial killer, John Douglas from the FBI would go on. She is the most fascinating person I think I've ever seen. And for the wrong reasons. I swear to you, two things I want to see. They can't. These are thought experiments. Candace and Erika in a debate. And also, I would want to sit down and either see somebody who's a professional, or me do it, where she's basically on the couch, so to speak, in an analysis. I guess I'm a frustrated shrink, but I don't want to cure people. I want to analyze them. I don't care about making them better. That's why I wouldn't be very good. Do you know why the couch was important? Do you know why? Why it was done and why it's still done? When you sit and look at somebody and you say, answer a question. Already, you're looking at me, you're looking at my reaction, you're wondering, are you sounding stupid? If you're lying down, if you're reclining and you look up and you're looking up like that, it accesses a different part of your brain. It accesses your ability to think. Like when you're sitting in a field and you look up at the clouds, your eyes look up, you're not looking at anybody, and you're able to think differently about what happened, what an event meant, what you thought, what your feelings were. You access differently. You remember things differently when you close your eyes. You think differently when you lie on your back. You think that you just access. It's kind of if I told you, imagine the world in front of you is a die, the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 in the corner, 1 in the middle. You got it? Okay. And let's assume that in that configuration, there was how do I say this? If I said to you, now listen, think about your mother's face. Now, you will look up or down or somewhere. Not because you're just looking around, you're accessing that image. If I said to you, think of what it do you remember when garlic and olive oil are sauteing? Can you smell that? Where do you look? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Basically, you access different things. You access memory. It's neat. We all do that. Everybody does it. Watch a little kid think. The way they conjure. Even blind people will access something. It's so interesting. So if you sat down with Erika Kirk, this is the first question. What's your real name? If she says Erika Franz, that tells you where she is. She's not a Kirk. What do you prefer? What name are you happy with? Were you then or now? When were you the happiest? What was the nicest thing anybody ever did for you? What has been your biggest regret? When you were little, what did you dream of? When you were a little girl, who were your heroes? What did you want to do? What did you want to be? What did you think? Who were your heroes? What was the most important event of your life that established who you were? Did anybody ever mock you? Were you a fat kid, a chubby kid, a pretty kid? Were you always considered pretty or not? Tell me. I love this. It's what everybody should think about. You should ask yourself too. because it allows you, when you analyze yourself, it provides you with a chance to have kind of like an owner's instruction of who you are. It's very important. And it explains who you are now. You don't need to shrink for this, but you should think about it. And most of the time you think, who has time for this? What was the happiest you were? When did you first understand it, or you first said, I think I'm going in this direction? Normally when you were a kid, you do something that you're good at. You're good in school. Maybe you're pretty. Maybe it was the opposite. Maybe people didn't think you were pretty. Maybe it was weight. Maybe it was something. Maybe you did well in school. Tell me your first, because that can set you one way or the other. People can have eating disorders because of the way people look at them. Who knows? That's what I want to know. So there are very different. There are different stages, and I'd love to say, Erika, let me show you this first stage. This is your sizzle reel. This is when you were just coming out, so to speak. You were with. Is this one of your boyfriends? Yeah. How many boyfriends have you had? I'm not going to ask you how many sexual partners you've had, but how many? And I don't know if this is even possible, but as you know, you always hear it to many, many women. You normally will refer to this time as, when did you lose your virginity? Men don't think like that. Men do not think like that. When was the first time you were in a car? What? I don't remember. It's a different thing. I mean, maybe provided it's not tragic. But those are critical issues. Who were these men? Were you ever in love? When you were in love the first time, what was that like? Who was it? Why did he appeal to you? What's your relationship with your father? Did he leave you? I understood he took care of you. He was kind of a stay-at-home father, dad. Why do you say your mom was a single mom and she never... Why do you say that? Let's talk about your mother. What is a lie to you? Is a lie something that merely means you're not telling the truth? Or is it sometimes excusable because you're trying to create a story or a narrative? It's all it is. I'm not. It's a story. It's not a lie. It's a white lie. It's a fib. It's not the end of the world. Good. So that was your first time. And you wanted to be a star, didn't you? Now, did you want to be famous? Or did you want to be beautiful? Or did you want to be both? Did you want to be an actress? Did you want to hit the stage? Be a movie star? What did you really want? Because most people I found here in New York, when they say, I want to be an actress, he goes, no, you want to be famous. Because the real actors and actresses, this is hard work. I mean, you got to have talent. It takes a long time, really, to do this. It's not what you think. It's not being whatever. Then that was that stage. Later on, I think perhaps maybe at the behest of mom, she came up with the idea of the entrepreneur. Worked for Corcoran, big real estate concern here. Had these nonprofits. Did some work with, remember that she was a, I don't know what the word is, almost like a Vanna White or something, or a Carol. You don't remember Carol Merrill, but Let's Make a Deal. But somebody who was like, you were introing this, Betty Furness, kind of. I'm really dating myself, but you know what I mean. She was just talking about EMP, electromagnetic pulses. This is a spook. This is CIA. This is. Remember, honey, we went to that one that we saw Woolsey. Remember James Woolsey? We went to this thing. Remember the time when our friend invited us? We saw this. And I remember we have a friend of ours invited us. I said, this is a spook. This is CIA. What is this? Why'd you invite me to this? They go, what are you talking about? I said, he's talking about selling the notion, selling the story, selling the idea, yet again, of the, how do I say this, of Iran being this threat to us, a threat. And I kept saying, why Iran? They couldn't tell us. This was 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I remember this was, he was the head of the CIA. And we met at this, all these people from New York and I thought, Are they doing this Iranian thing again? Now, listen, I'm not telling you that Iran is nothing to worry about. I'm not telling you that Saddam Hussein was nothing to worry about. I'm not telling you that Vietnam was nothing to worry about, or Korea, or Grenada, or anything else for that matter. The issue is, do I want to go to war with them? That's the idea. So even then, so here she is, she's hooked up with spooks, CIA. They were trying to get venture capital. It was, all of these people were big investors. It was something. Okay. That's what she was doing. And I'd say, Erika, did you know what you were doing? Do you know what this is? Do you know what an EMP is? Do you know what the military industrial complex is? Do you know what is conservatism? Tell me politically. She couldn't answer it. I'll bet you anything she was saying. I have no idea what she's talking about. But if it's a thing, I know a friend of mine who thought it was cool to say she was a vegan, but she ate chicken. I don't know what the hell she was talking about. I don't know, but she thought in her own mind, I kind of want to wear this as kind of like a badge. So what about that, Erika? When you were doing that, which leads to the Fort Huachuca story and all this other kind of stuff, it's one of these, it's one of those things that it's just, you know what I mean? It's was that critical? Not really. I couldn't tell you right now what the Egyptian planes were about, or Snow, or what Mitch Snow, or I don't know. But I do know this, that when Candace was investigating, sometimes you'll go down a lead, you'll see something, and say, okay, this is interesting. Does this matter? Maybe not. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. She was the only one doing any investigation. So then everything was fine and everything was groovy, and then it was very, very weird. And then I want to talk to you, Erika, about the pageant years. Were any of you here, any of you ladies in pageants? Any of you? Any of you? If my daughter said, I want to be in a pageant, I would say, I want to sit down with you. Now, I would say, you can do whatever you want. I'll support it 100%, but I want to talk to you about this. Okay? I want you to understand what we're talking about. Look at this. Liggy said, I did gymnastics. Phenomenal. Gymnastics is wonderful. Absolutely phenomenal. Did you know that in the old days when girls did cheerleading was like powder puff, hey, sis, boom, ba, and all that nonsense. Today, the athleticism is out. I mean, the men who work in concert with us are just incredible. The amount of it, it's so incredible. But and this is what I want to ask. You said that you were recruited, right? Okay. Now, Erika, you probably know this, but nobody's recruited. They've never recruited anybody for Miss Arizona. Nobody. We don't even know what that means. What does that mean? You were recruited. And you told us, in fact, here's your story. You said that you were always with her mom, and then somebody came up. Somebody said basically, you know what? We really kind of need you. Could you be a part of our pageant? Could you do this? Well, I don't know. And you acted like you were very reluctant, like you were taking one for the team, representing your state. Remember that? And then you said you didn't want to do this. Well, then we have a record of you having done it before and other pageants. Now listen, we don't care what you do. There's nothing against the law about that. Why'd you do that? Why did you lie? What does a lie mean to you? Tell me. Is it a fib? Is it an exaggeration? Is it called, by the way, in contract law, they refer to, let's say, a commercial enterprise that says, we have the best pizza. That's called puffery. It's not really a warranty. They're not really promising you. They're just kind of a little embellishment. Why did you do this? Why must you be the reluctant beauty. Why did you say you were a tomboy? What was that about? Tell me in your mind. I would bet the farm, if she were telling the truth, she would say, it's my story. I like the idea of this simpleton, this kind of like, remember the Marilyn Monroe story, Norma Jean. They came and she was just, she was just Ava Gardner was like that. Just a rough and tumble barefoot kid from South Carolina, North Carolina. She was just but this ravishing beauty that they found, like Ellie Mae Clampett. You know what I mean? That sort of that this is her thing. And I think she would say to you, yeah, I kind of like that. Was it true? No, but I like the story. Therein lies the crux. She makes up a story. She has a story. And the story is what's interesting. The narrative, that's what I find fascinating. She just makes it up. Thinks nothing of it. Nobody's hurt. If you don't like it. But you see, Erika, when you start making things up and they build up and they accumulate, then you're not able to really figure out, well, what is the truth? Or who cares what the truth is? Right? Who cares? That's pretty much what we're talking about. Who cares? Then the next story comes along. Remember, there were other things as well, other boyfriends. You said you didn't drink. We got pictures of you drinking. Why do you say that? Do you think that was also just some kind of some kind of a little fib, maybe to get things going? Is that what you thought? Could be. Could be. Nothing wrong with that. Let's talk about, and then you can go through the other boyfriend. Now let's talk about Charlie. Let's talk about Charlie. This is a good one. And this is where we might need a little mild sedation in this one, because we've got to get to the truth, and she's going to be very resistant to this one. So in my hypothetical, I'm just pretending. So I say, Erika, when you saw him, you have a different story, how you met. Did you meet here? Did you go for the burger? Were you working or not? Even that story we don't know. Doesn't matter. What did you think of when you first saw him? And if she told the truth, she would say, oh, easy picking. Kind of a rube. Younger than I was, like 5 years younger. I don't know. But a rube, kind of unsophisticated. He's kind of goofy, very smart. I had a lot of respect for him. Still, his memory. Very smart, very, very brilliant, but kind of goofy. Kind of yuck. You know what I'm saying? You understand this? And this is the part which is the most important thing in the world. This is one of those things which I find so interesting. And what I also find interesting as well is when you ask her the question, well, what is it that you think? And this is important. So what is it that you think is the most important part of all this stuff? What is it when you saw him? She'd say, well, it wasn't that he was a bad guy. It's just that I figured I can move in and I can fix him and I can get him, because I didn't think he really was that well. You got it? And that's the thing which is interesting. And then it picks up. And then it gets fascinating. Beyond fascinating. See, that's the part where it really gets, and everything else, believe me, nothing's more interesting than that. Nothing. But let me ask you something. Does anybody here care about Ben Shapiro? Please tell me. Does anybody here really have any concern about Ben Shapiro? Is there anybody? And I'm noticing I'm getting a little, just kind of got this herky-jerky look. I don't know what this is about. I'm trying to close down some stuff here. I don't know anybody who cares about that. Seriously, anybody? Does anybody care? No kidding. No, bruh. Ben Shapiro is irrelevant. Absolutely irrelevant. The strangest thing I've ever, I don't even know. And I want to ask, Candace, I'm going to say, who cares? I mean, you might. And listen, if you find it interesting, by God, you do it. Meghan McCain? I'm sorry, did I miss Ben Shapiro? You say, well, at least he's been around. Meghan, she's a nepo baby or whatever it is. What has she ever said? I'm sorry, I missed something. So during the course of last weekend, which is funny, just to be a complete ball buster, which I love, Candace said, I didn't want to do this. But since all of you are talking about Charlie and what Charlie's about, I want to tell you what Charlie thought about you. And she pulled out some screen shares or some messages of Charlie basically telling Meghan that, or telling Candace that she thinks Meghan is full of shit, and her father as well. Big. And she went crazy. And then Meghan called her a psychopath. And I want to say, the only thing, Candace, we love you. We love you, young lady. But you have this magic wand. You go like that. Boop. And when you touch somebody, you will put them into a realm, anything, negative, positive, just mention their name. Just mention their name. I will attest to that, and I owe many of us our friendship because of her kindness to me through you. We found each other that way, and I'm forever grateful for that. Seriously. Because she's been very kind to me, very nice. Said some wonderful. I've never met her, never talked to her. I think I don't know. I think we just had a thank you or whatever, but nothing. But I think I would like her. I think I could talk to her. I don't know. But anyway. But she's got to realize this. When you go like that, boop, it's like a magic wand. So you took this Meghan McCain. I swear to God, I always have this test. Right near us is a Times Square. And we could stand there with pictures and ask people, who's this? More people would know who Meghan McCain, who Candace Owens is. Absolutely. Absolutely. Meghan McCain, who? Plus she goes through so many looks and changes and all that. Meghan McCain is irrelevant. Meghan McCain is just the daughter of John McCain. And by the way, the John McCain of 2000 was great. The John McCain later on was this, not a neocon. He was a war profiteer. That's all he was. And he was a little crazy because you don't torture them that long. What he did in Vietnam, you can't get away from that. You can't come out of that normally. I'm sorry. Your whole life always, remember his arms were always paralyzed because of the years of torture in the brain. What he went through was just incredible. But in 2000, he was okay. And then they picked Sarah Palin for him, which I thought was, what are you doing? What are you doing? This is a guy who was he is, with all of his skin cancers and his age, she was a heartbeat away. And they picked Sarah Palin out of all the brilliant Republican women out there. Young, old, middle, white, black, doesn't matter. Sarah Palin? No. Something happened to him. Something happened to Lindsey Graham. And let me tell you something. Remember something. When you lie about who you are, it affects who you are. When you hold something in, when you have to spend your entire life pretending to be something that everybody knows you're not, it could be a drug, it could be anything. It could be a mental illness, it could be an alcoholic, it could be, who knows, whatever it is. There are some people who also used to fight they would feel sometimes that they would be identified as being kind of a rube, or being kind of like a rusticator, like some chuff, some churl, some boor. And they do this faux affect because they're afraid you're going to find out who they are. That's the same thing. And Lindsey Graham is powerful, but everybody knows what Lindsey Graham's all about. Everybody. I don't want to go into specifics, but I think you can guess. And don't think for a moment that doesn't mean something. When somebody, I'm going to say something to you. When somebody wears a bad, I know you're going to think I'm crazy. When somebody wears a bad tube, really bad, I mean, obviously bad, that's such an insult to you because they're telling you, I think you think this is real. Nobody who ever wears one of those things ever thinks to themselves, oh, I know it looks like some beaver pelt, but I'm just, no. They think that they're pulling one over on you. They really, really do. And that's kind of what these people are. And we talked about this the other day with Trump, and you may have some pretty serious stuff about him, and that's up to you. But it's one thing is, he is not an imposter. That is it. What you see is what you get. You may not like it, and I'm not going to argue, but that's what he is. That's precisely what he is. He's not kidding in the least. I love somebody who says, this is the way I am. It's honorable. It's like, thank you. Thank you for this. Renee says, as a recovering alcoholic, 16 years sober, excellent for you. Let's give a big hand to Renee. Come on, children. Come on, kids. Way to go. What you're saying resonates greatly. Oh, and you know what the business about an alcoholic, and by the way, seriously, congratulations to you. That is something because you're using, how do I say this? Your own particular willpower to fight something that your body, your brain says, I don't want to stop doing this. And you're going to say, oh, yes, you are. And it says, oh, no, we don't. We don't want to change this. Good luck. That is one of the most powerful things. Seriously, send your love to Renee. I think that is just incredible. And by the way, shout out to the great people of AA. You never get, this is not even the government. They just get together and they save more lives than anything you can imagine. But I'll tell you one thing about this, Renee, and you can know this. The first rule about being an alcoholic is deception. You got to hide it. You got to hide how much you're drinking, what you're drinking, when you're drunk. Look at this. Here comes Bobby Tan. Peace and love to you all. Hey, guys. You know, whenever I hear, let me ask you something. When you hear somebody say, hey, guys, do you think of me? I think of me. I'm thinking, oh, my God. I just react like I want to say, hey, guys. Hey. Whenever I see Kash Patel, I'm sick. You know what I'm thinking. I can't get past it. I remind me of myself. So anyway, so the thing about it is that there's these people, and Erika is she is a basket case of whatever. So she saw Charlie and she got her hooks in him. And he said he didn't know what he got. Pig in a poke. Because she saw that money. She says, you become the great deceiver, that's for sure. Oh, yes, you do. Oh, yes. Being an alcoholic, and you know what the worst of the worst of the worst is? The worst addiction? What do you think it is? Anybody? And by the way, addiction is a term of art. Doesn't mean you do something a lot. Doesn't mean you're chronic or compulsive. That's a different story. I've known a lot of big drinkers or heavy drinkers, but they're not alcoholics. They're not. No. The worst. Nope. What's the worst? What's the worst? What's the worst addiction? I'll give you a hint. There's no satiety. There's no satiety. Ooh, power. Very good. You're never satisfied. Sugar, you can be satisfied. Fingernail biting, by the way, that's very interesting. You know, I saw somebody the other day with fingernail biting. I wondered, that must hurt. Gambling. Absolutely, positively 100% the worst. Because there's no satiety. There's no, no matter what it is. Sex, even sex, I'm not so sure about if that's an addiction or if that's a compulsion. But anyway, addiction is something that involves almost like physical, gambling. Because you're never win. Next. You lost. Next. It's the action. It's not the winning. It's not the losing. It's the action. It's the flop. It's the here's the card. To walk into a casino and hear the ding, 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 ding. Oh my God. Have you ever seen this before? To hear the old days when they used to take surgical steel, they used to put it into slot machines. So then when the coins hit, they made noise. And this is classical conditioning. This was Pavlovian. Oh my God. And the smell, here's the drinks and fun, power, hope, sexy, sit there, focused. And people would just hit the machines like rats in a cage. And then it was maybe it was cards, maybe it was horses, maybe whatever it was. And every single dollar, the only person, a gambler, a compulsive gambler, would not steal from is their bookie. If Erika Kirk sues, what can be accessed in discovery? If she sues whom and for what, pray tell? That's the last thing she should do. Sues. Let me tell you something. This is the most important thing in the world. This is when you figure out who's who and who's responsible. Let me tell you something. One of the saddest cases, not really, but a little bit sad, was Hunter Biden. This guy was gone out of his mind. This guy was so addicted, but allowed to remain unfettered. It's something you don't want. And we're getting brand new. And by the way, kids, and my Mrs. L, by the way, has talked about this. Please follow her at Lynn's Warriors on YouTube. I'll give you the link. Now they're telling kids how to play, these FanDuel things and all this online gambling, and they have no idea. Let me get this right here. They have no idea what they're doing. And we are turning out kids to be gamblers. Absolutely, positively, one of the worst things ever. But anyway, so when she went along and she saw Charlie, she had her hooks into him immediately because he's a rube. He's a rube, and he's somebody absolutely, positively, he was so innocent and so without experience. I don't think he's ever really known this. I think she knew how to play every button there was. So I'll bet you are you Christian? Oh yeah. Oh, I'm so, praise the Lord. Brasileira mia says at the Carlton can, I put 100 pounds on 28, first spin. It hit. I walked away. The casino wasn't upset. I won. They were furious. I didn't stay to give it back. Absolutely. Well, what did you win? But thank you. For the love and for the luck, and thank you. This is the most important thing in the world. What I really, really, really want, and I mean this, is there are these people to explain how these things work. This is important. This is critical. I mean it. And this is what's happening right now. So when he came along and he said, hey, by the way, tell us about, your Christianity. Oh, yeah. Sure, whatever. You're a Christian. Oh, yeah, of course. Praise God. Praise the Lord. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So she knew what to do. She saw that money. She saw what was going on. She saw the power. Now, I will say this right now, 100%. I do not believe, nor has there ever been anything involving, she won 36.99 euros, but spent next morning in a bag. Spent it. Addictions. Listen, nothing wrong with that. I'd say buy it on something. That's commerce. Risking it is betting. Remember, to be If you're buying bag, that's not an addiction. It's the risk part of it. That's the part of it. See, this is the part that's the most fascinating to me. Now, that's what I'd like to say about everybody there is, whether it's Ben Shapiro or whatever. I don't care about whatever they say. Shapiro can say whatever he wants. And these people they put together, why would anybody appear with Ben Shapiro? Seriously, why? I don't know. But what I would say is simply this. I want to find out who killed Charlie. And like I was saying, I don't think there's any evidence whatsoever that she had anything to do with it. I really don't. It might be there. I haven't seen it. I don't think it's there. But what I'm telling you is that I want to find out who did it. And nobody else is. All these people are talking. All these people. And Candace can do it. She can do it. Others can do it. Yet Erika doesn't care. And if you sat down with her and said, tell me, think about this. You know more about this than I do. You've had more people come up to you and talk to you behind the scenes. Security people that who've worked, people that worked for TPUSA. I'm sure they've told you this. Think about this. Do you mean to tell me that you really don't know about this? You really don't know? You believe this story about Tyler Robinson? Do you really believe this? Seriously? You believe this story? It is the most ridiculous story. What's going on with this right now? Have you been in contact? Let me ask you this. Erika, what's the name of the main prosecutor? What's the name of the chief prosecutor of the man trying to seek justice for your husband? What's his name? I bet you anything she couldn't say, I don't know. When was the last time you talked to him? Never. You're on that phone every day saying, what have you known? Tell me what's going on. I've seen it when there is a parent or a child rather who is involved, or parent of a child who is the victim of something. That parent will never leave you alone. Never leave you alone. What's going on? What can I do? This is the thing that's important. Charlie was a good man. He really felt, I thought he was very, very sincere. I thought he loved, he was so real, we would have picked up on it. But when it comes to picking women, nah, it's happened before. It happens. And what happens is there is no way that this woman went from, and by the way, it just, look, she could have stayed there for the rest of her life. He would have been happy and he would have not known this. He would have not known this. He would have not been aware of this because he was running the show. Only afterwards, I don't know who's talking to her. I don't know if it's the mother. I have no idea. Who knows? But what we see with this woman is a whole other story. She is absolutely, positively devoid of any kind of, she is counterfeit through and through. She is fugazi through and through. I don't think he knew that. I don't think he realized it. I don't think anybody realized it. I don't think anybody there had any clue whatsoever. She was just kind of, sort of there. You know, I don't say arm candy. I don't think that's the word. But she was like the titular wife. And okay, fine. She was terrific. Do you remember anything from her? No, I never heard about her. Then who knew? When she came forward, somebody stupidly said, we want you to continue it. And why do you think they did it? I would put all my money, if I had to bet, on the fact that they think she could be easily controlled. And they thought that she would be able to be lured or lulled into following what they're saying. The board. They had no idea about her baggage. They had no idea. None. I mean, they might have had an idea, but who knew? And they didn't realize that she would come out and just turn into this lunatic. Something happened to her. And I'm telling you, we all have our moment. When I saw her lie on top of, straddle, so to speak, her husband's coffin, that was it. To get that scene, look at me. Here I am. That was so personal. So personal. Any of you who've lost a spouse or a loved one would never stoop to that. Never. Under any circumstance whatsoever. You would never do that. Never. She just saw the picture. She saw the meme. She saw the photo, the Instagram, the moment. That was it. The substance didn't matter. There was a coldness in her, like it was icy. People thought, wow, whoa, whoa, this is your husband. And by the way, this isn't a guy who just had a heart attack. He's sitting there. I don't know how they patched up his throat or whatever this thing was. He was in the prime of his life, taken down. And the second time was that famous, hey guys, 6 days later. You saw somebody so detached from reality. It's not even funny. And even when her own mother was sick, she's in the hospital. She's got the tape on her nose. And you got the shot? Yeah. You got the pathetic. Here's the look. You got that? Even then, her whole world is nothing but. Now, if you don't like that, fine. But I know what I'm talking about. She's paying, I'm telling you. And she wanted to sell hats and merch. And she was so, it would take somebody a month. You've probably seen this scene over and over. They kept playing it over and over. You got to see your husband, bang, 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 bang. I would need sedation. Something happened to my wife, I wouldn't be able to talk. You want me to do what? Have a pep meeting? What are you talking about? I don't give a goddamn about hats. I can't even move. People would be in bed. They wouldn't be able to eat, sleep, move, anything. This is demented. Absolutely demented. This is the part which is so critical. Absolutely critical. And they didn't see it. And the only thing they said was, wait a minute, hold it. Listen, can you kind of tone it down a little bit? Renee says, I do wonder if his parents saw through her bullshit or his sister. Of course they did. Of course they did. Especially afterwards. Especially afterwards. This is the woman who lives in what, a 5, 6, 9, whatever, $1 million house. She lived, did you see where they lived, this house? Jesus. And she's worried about, and I had to go back to work because I'm a single mom. Don't even kid about that. Life insurance policy. Didn't Tucker throw just a gobs of money at him? I mean, just. This is, she's a widow. Yes, she's a widow. That's like the old story about the person who kills his parents and says, I'm an orphan. Give me a break. I said, but you, and again, let me say this again. Nobody's claiming or alleging, at least I'm not, complicity on her part. But it never stopped. It never stopped. And that's the bottom line. So when you want to talk about, oh, she's a widow, and if Ben Shapiro's like, you can't be that stupid. I know you're not. And by the way, Ben Shapiro has this line about how he's so smart. Come on. Listen to what he says. Look at the way he brings it. Look at the way he handles himself. Remember when they ran those old pictures, the shows that Candace did when she worked for him? What was that about? That was the most stupid thing I've ever heard in my life. It's so petty. So going back to what I originally said, all of these people yammering and pointing fingers, I don't care about that. Let me ask you a question. Do you believe that Tucker Carlson is exposed to a significant threat of being arrested, quote, by the CIA for his activities, either communicating with people from Iran or whatever it is? Do you believe that? Do you believe that anybody would arrest the singular most, well, I think she's the most powerful, but tied for number 2, that they would do it? Do you believe that the CIA, or referring it to the DOJ, would arrest him because he talked to someone before, when everybody is talking to everyone? They're going to, I'm not saying it didn't happen, but I'm saying if they did, this is the most stupid thing they could do. They might have wanted to do this. They might have said, I'm getting tired of this guy. But do you know what that would do to make a martyr out of him? Nothing. It would never last. Freedom. I mean, come on. He's not plotting anything. He's not figuring out coordinates for drone strikes. He's on the phone talking to somebody. He's a journalist. What are you kidding? It is, I am telling you. Let me be very clear. I'm not saying that Tucker's wrong. I'm not saying he's lying. And I'm not saying he doesn't believe that or that somebody didn't tell him that. But if they were that stupid, how many times have I told you what you do is you ignore people? Why are we paying attention to Ben Shapiro? I only bring it up because Candace did. Who cares? If Candace said to him, it doesn't matter. It would kill him. Kill him. It would kill him. Meghan McCain? You're better than that. Who cares, Meghan McCain? But she can do whatever she wants. It's great entertainment. I love it. And there might be a lot of, history there, and I can dig that. But the bottom line is we're losing our mind here. We're really losing our mind with all this going on in the world right now. Look at that case involving Nancy Guthrie. They just forgot the whole thing. They just forgot it. And today they even say, the FBI is that. Stop it with this FBI. Stop it. Did any of you poor, wonderful people see any of the Academy Awards? That pathetic dinosaur of an anachronism? Did you see this? It's like the saddest thing, I think, when they don't realize it's over. This goes over. Imagine, everything seems so clear to me. Now, somebody's asking, will Erika get arrested? Arrested for what? The only thing that I can see is if somewhere along the line, in the capacity of her position as CEO, she did something that was clearly illegal. Versus civil, but illegal. I can't see it. I'm sorry. Other people, maybe. When we get our friend, what is our friend's name? I'm sorry. Let me get, his name is, if we get our friend Barron in there, and if we get in Wolves in Finance and a lot of other folks, I think they might know something or find something. I don't know. But I don't think she's not, that's not her style. See, the thing about her is that she's not very bright. That's the saddest part. She's not. You might think, you got to listen to her. You got to pay attention to her and you realize she's not saying anything. So my friends, the good news is simply this. We're going to keep fighting on. We're going to keep doing this up. We're going to laugh at this. We're winning this. I'm telling you. Every time another phony baloney falls, we win. That's it. I want there to be somebody who's a true speaker. By the way, politically, if it's parties mean nothing, I'm neither Republican nor Democrat. Independent, I don't care about that. I want somebody to speak the truth to me. I don't want to stop all the lying. I know it's kind of a tall order, but that's what I want. Period. Someone writes here, look at this. Someone writes, Susie writes, Trump should be arrested. Thanks, Susie. Why should Trump be arrested? Anybody? Ricky Gervais is terrific, by the way. Ricky Gervais was so perfect. And Javier Bardem. Look, whatever you feel about Palestine, I'm not saying it's up to you, but you're going to get this guy. What do you think is going to happen at the Academy Award? What do you think half of these people don't even vote, but they say things just to, remember the old day it was climate. Then it was way before. Remember it was the rainforest. Remember that it was into the rainforest. Why? What's going on with this? War crimes, not war crimes. War crimes are one of the most difficult things in the world that you can possibly. War crimes and treason. Treason, forget it. Absolutely forget it. Forget it. This is political. The Constitution gives presidents a lot of leeway. They can do a lot of things that you might think this is insane. This isn't crazy. Look what Nixon and LBJ did regarding Vietnam. They're not charged with war crimes. They wanted to get Henry Kissinger too. Was he a war crime? No, not really. Not really. The president's biggest problem, he picks the wrong people. and listens to the wrong people. That's his problem. That's his problem. The people that you listen to, the people that you put, don't get me started. Mine would be a completely different thing. In any event, my friends. Oh, by the way, one more thing about treason. Remember when the Rosenbergs, remember that when Julius and Ethel, they didn't charge, they didn't hit him with treason. They got him with espionage. Espionage is really, nobody gets treason. I think the last one with treason was like Tokyo Rose or Axis Sally or John Walker. What was it? Lind. Remember what do they call him? Anyway, that's the worst case. Period. If I ran this country, my friend, it would be a completely different story. You would not know war. You would just not know war. You would not know war. Renee says the Oscars equals wanker festival. I think you're correct. It was so stupid. How about this guy, Timothy Chalamet? What I call him, Chardonnay? He had it. He blew it all. Like Bogey and Bacall. I've never seen anything like it. Never saw anything like it. And did you see the people they leave off? Every year they leave off. Bridget Bardot? Politics. And she was against immigration. But still, people would say, look, a lot of people had different things. I despise. If you took that Dolby Theater, just seized it, sealed it up, picked it up, and just sent it off into space, child predation will drop 30%. You know the freaks that were there? Do you know the sickness, the hookers and the, oh my God, and the special talent that was brought in? All of these sickos who met, it's like a cabal. That's like eyes wide shut on the road. You think I'm kidding? Probably number one used to be the Met Gala. That's where the real sickos. Oh man, these people. I have nothing to do with these people. Nothing. They are of no interest in me whatsoever. And Sean Penn, interestingly enough, what about Haiti? Sean Penn, Oprah. What are these people doing? Let's talk about that. How does she get off the hook? Oh. Remember, USAID took care of so many of these people. Rob Reiner. Tragedy? Absolutely. Have his throat slit with his wife by that nut kid who was on meth, by the way. That wasn't schizophrenia. That was meth. You get medieval with that stuff. But this is a guy who was on this roll. If they didn't buy, rent, or use his social media stream, remember after Trump won, he had to go to rehab to relax. Rehab is not a spa. Remember in 2016, I think it was 2016, Moby said how his social media was used by the CIA, he claims. Don't think for a moment they didn't use Rob Reiner and use his influence and use his name and use everything in order to push this anti-Trump stuff. Just like they used De Niro. De Niro's on the balls of his ass. He's got so many ex-wives and kids. He's not making that much. He takes any movie there is. Anything. And don't you think for a moment that USAID could have said, listen, we'll help you out. Do the right thing. Okay. Why do you think there were so many people in Hollywood who happen to have transgender kids? If you think in transgender, maybe it's really true transgender, was it 1%? Gay is one thing. This is different. Let's say 1%, and I'm being really transgender. Not somebody who's gay, not somebody who is a transvestite, but real, truly transgender. How is it that something that hits normally the regular population at 1% hits Hollywood in batches of 30 to 40%? Come on. You don't think those people don't sell their kids to Baphomet or Baal or come on. Come on. When are we going to say it? Ricky Gervais was 100%. Oh, even Conan O'Brien made some PDF file jokes. Remember that one? They know this. Leonardo DiCaprio, that's sick. You see, the sickness plays. The sickness plays. You understand that? The sickness plays. Oh, look at this. This is a good one. I disagree. That man abused his son. No one gets on substance for no reason. His friends joked about selling him. The son and the friends coming to his house to... could very well be, but I'm sorry. Slitting your throat? No. Listen, nothing surprises me. This guy was sick. That kid, that Nick, was sick. Ask Conan. Ask everybody. They were saying for the longest time, this kid's out of his mind. He's out of his mind. Could it have been precipitated? Absolutely. Exacerbated? Absolutely. But what he did? No. No. This is like barbaric. This is barbaric. This is from another thing. But you know what? He was the kind of one who said, hey, let's help him out. That's what's wrong with this country. When somebody is that sick, you got to warehouse their ass. I know it seems brutal, but you can't be nicey-nicey. This isn't Mr. Rogers. That might have been that crazy lefty, liberal, compassionate horseshit. That might have been a problem with him. If that were my kid, I'd lock his ass up so fast. I'd chain him. I mean, it'd be like, do you understand what we're doing here? They'll never hear about it. I'm Rob Reiner. I'm the most powerful person. Nobody will hear your screams. You're not getting out of here. Believe me, you're sick. And we're going to fix this. Oh, it's that mentality. Look at this. There was a comedy act. They were laughing. Yes, that's because he was abused as a child by us. Okay. Well, you know what? Let me tell you something. You know what? Inside your bones, inside Ms. Bones, if you think that is beyond the realm of reason, it is certainly not. It is certainly not. But I will tell you this. The three biggies of serial killing, as you know, is flatulence. That's a big one. Flatulence is a sign of severe mental illness. Okay? It's not funny. Don't laugh. It's something that we go through all our lives. Trying to fit in. Tried to be a center of my football team. They wouldn't have me. You can't be a spacesuit. You can't be an astronaut. You can't wear a wetsuit. You'll blow up. Anyway, they say there's the big three. The big three. Number one is enuresis, bedwetting, teasing small animals, and arson. Right? That's what they have in common. No. Most of the people who have done that did not have that. So it's hard to say what causes what and this and blah, blah, blah. The number of people who have been the subject of SA, as you say, absolutely. They've never done that before. Never done that. So if you do commit SA on somebody who's out of their mind, you take a chance of that. So I'm not ruling that out one, Ms. Bones. No way. It's all possible. Lionel is multi-talented. You're right, playing a center. Remember the one from, it was a great, from National Lampoon, TF, terminal flatulence. It's nothing to sniff at. What are the signs of TF? One is unaccountable pet deaths and burnt foliage. They had a picture of a bathroom, of a toilet, just exploded like they threw in a stick of dynamite. One of the funniest things, TF. It's nothing to sniff at. All right, dear friends, one more time. Thank you for following Mrs. L. She has a brand new video up. I invite, I implore, I request, I importune, I entreat you to go there and sign up. This is about what kids need to do. She's going to be telling you about, we should do a live one time to let you know what's going on. Her work is, as we speak, she's putting together gift bags for a big charity event for Wonder Girls. I'm telling you, it sounds like, you should see this place. It looks like I don't know what it looks like a gift shop, but for a great, great cause. 24 hours, she never stops. That's why I love her. Well, among other reasons. All right, my friends, have a great and a glorious day. Follow up. I'm going to put some questions up. Thank you. Thank you for spending time with me. I know Candace was doing this. I had nothing to do with this. I'm going to tell Candace, do me a favor, give us a heads up. Maybe I can move things around, but that was very nice of you. And we can now go listen to her and And I appreciate you. Anyway, thank you, my friends. Have a great and glorious day. And comment as you see fit. And as we always say, the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.